introduction. I also want to, Nikita already introduced me. I'm Dorweiler, working as a freelance media artist and designer, and also teaching classes at the Hochschule Darmstadt. I also want to introduce to you Diego Arandia, who's a student, who actually did the whole experiment, and we were working on it together. And he kind of dived into the topic. And this is what we are going to tell you today, how this experiment with using a smartphone for Fulldome is going on. So, let's begin with kind of the context in which this whole experiment started. So, there is this Fulldome class in context of the study program International Media Cultural Work, and the focus of this study program is actually on environmental media. So that means that Fulldome is also combined with 3D audio, and 3D audio is actually like the main topic of this International Media Cultural Work study program, and Fulldome is combined with it, so I'm really glad that we can have all this immersive technology to really work with. And environmental media means, on the one hand, that the mediums for which we create content is surrounding us, and on the other hand, we are also working with the environment that is surrounding us. So that means immerse in the world you are actually living in, not only in the media, but really in everything, and transform it to be displayed in media. So what is interesting, I think, is that with the smartphone we also take a medium which is surrounding us every day right now, so we have it all in our hands at least one time a day, if not one time an hour. So this is interesting, I think, that we have the smartphone out of our environment, and right now we take the smartphone and create something for environmental media, which is Fulldome. We are also cooperating with the Planetarium Mannheim, so we can go there and have test screenings there of the student works, which is really nice to see also the works in a big dome. And we also have, since last semester, a small inflatable Fulldome by 6 meter diameter. So we really have also the opportunity to watch content in the dome in Dieburg, or go to the Hessentag and just show to a small public what we did actually in the classes. So this is really a nice setting. And since last semester we also work with the Insta360 Pro, which has actually a preview on the smartphone. I think some of you might know and already worked with it. So you can, meanwhile you put the camera somewhere, you can already watch there on the phone how the 360-degree footage will actually look like stitched. But before that, we were working with the GoPro Omni Rig, which has 6 individual GoPro Hero 4 cameras. And with this camera still it was kind of tricky to record, because you didn't have an immediate preview of what you were filming. So you could connect once your smartphone to the master camera, but then you had just one flat screen image, and also later on, when the software was updated and the smartphones got newer but not the camera, then it didn't work at all. So we were guessing kind of what we did capture, did test screenings of the material a day later when it was stitched. So this was really, let's say, tricky to work with. So on the one hand, the motivation for the experiment to work with the smartphone was also to have an immediate preview of what you capture in the end, because this is what we are used to see right now, what we will see in the end in the movie. and also to be more flexible and spontaneous in production. So yeah, you didn't have to go to the stitching room, stitch the material together as a preview and see what you actually recorded, but simply just put the phone out of your pocket and see what is surrounding you and what you want to capture for Fulldome. And yeah, this was one motivation actually for using the smartphone, and there was also another motivation since Diego was working before he came to Darmstadt as a professional audiovisual producer for, yeah, among others, for music videos. And as you know, musicians don't have that huge budget if they are not like in the charts, let's say. So these clients wanted to produce nice videos with low budget, and he was finding out that at a certain point his smartphone had a better resolution than his DSLR camera. So he began to just experiment what you can actually do for filming with the smartphone. And then when Diego came to the Fulldome class, he also said, I also experimented with a fisheye lens, because as you might know, you can capture not only with 360-degree cameras, but also with cameras which have a fisheye lens and produce Fulldome content. So he experimented with that and tested it also in the inflatable Fulldome, and it worked. So this was like the motivation to say, we will make a research on how broad is the range of possibilities for Fulldome movie making on a smartphone. So what actually you can do else than just putting a fisheye lens? Does it actually work? And in which, let's say, details does it work? And then we also have the steps of, is it possible to edit on a smartphone? And is it possible to display the Fulldome content on the smartphone? These are the steps which we will go through right now. So, what are actually the properties of the first experiment, where Diego used a smartphone Samsung Galaxy S7 with a processor Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 with 4 cores, the fisheye lens of 168 degree in diameter, 1.1 centimeters. And what is actually important if you want to use a fisheye lens for your smartphone is that you have one that really fits to the lens of your smartphone. So not for each phone the same fisheye lens will be the best one, but you really have to try out which one fits to the diameter of your lens on the smartphone. In terms of buying things on the internet, it's that you have to find out, of course, which one it is, and you cannot try out beforehand. But this one he got really worked good, and the camera resolution of the back camera is let's say sufficient for a Fulldome resolution of 2K. So that means what we have to consider, as you might know, is not how wide the picture is, but how high, because we are recording in square. So you have to actually cut the wide edges, because this round cutout will come into your kind of flat screen movie. And what was a bit a pity was that this fisheye lens didn't completely fit on the back camera. There are some small edges, it's like really like 1 millimeter, but it's enough that the circle is cut. So the experiment was, we went further with, was the Fulldome resolution in 1K, because the front camera, so with which you can do selfies better, was actually sufficient for 1K, and in the inflatable Fulldome which we have at the Hochschule Darmstadt, 1K is enough for watching movies. So, but of course it's also possible to record in the highest resolution, which is possible on your phone if you have a fitting lens, and then you can simply use this one. So, what works is of course filming from the side, but as you might know, this is not so nice in perspective for Fulldome, since you have to consider a different framing. But it works. I mean, sometimes for transitions, just a short moment in this perspective might work. But definitely this is this is the output of the smartphone with the fisheye lens. One thing you might see is that because the lens is not attached completely close to the smartphone, is that sometimes, if this is not the case, here some light comes in, but these are also things you can work on when you really make the lens really fitting. So if you put the camera and work actually like this. This is not the phone we use, but if you put the phone like horizontally and film from below, as you are used to with a also with a DSLR camera with a fisheye lens, then you get to a full-on perspective, which actually works quite nice, I think. And you can also, what is really convenient with the smartphone is that you can experiment. I mean, you can easily turn this thing much easier than to turn a big Insta360 Pro. I mean, you don't have to turn it, but it's also, you can experiment in different ways, and I think this is what is really interesting about using a smartphone, because it's a different way of handling the camera in the end. So lots of different angles were tested, for example, to walk. And then what is also nice is that you can better cover the camera. I mean, right now with the Insta360 ONE, they become smaller, or with the new GoPro 360 camera. But back then, when we had really the huge cameras, it's really, I mean, we started last year, so the development is really fast. But what is nice, I think, is that it's easy to cover the dome with things. So here, for example, it was covered with leaves, and I think this really gives you an immersive impression when you are in the dome, when the dome is covered with things or things fly over the camera. And I like these moments, actually. And what was also interesting is that some abstract output through experimenting came out. So I think, these ones are like forms interesting, which I think, but when you take a closer look, it's actually floors of the university. But I think this is also worth experimenting with, like to work with found footage. And if you have a huge amount of preparation and can't work so spontaneously, then it's really convenient if you just walk somewhere and you think, this might be really cool for Fulldome, and you put out the smartphone and simply record it. So this is where I want to go, actually. I will show you a short video with the footage we made in the test. I'm so sorry. So it's about less than 1 minute. Moment, sorry. Right now. The last one was a shot which was made by Diego in the inflatable tent to film like a movie in the inflatable Fulldome tent with the camera, so I think this was interesting to put these two together. And another thing, so yeah, what actually works is, as you saw, you can film with a fisheye lens and a smartphone, no doubt about that. But what about editing? So of course this video was made by just simply importing the footage on the computer and then edit it in Premiere. But if you want to be really flexible, then it's also nice to edit the movies directly on your phone. And one app which is really convenient for that is KineMaster. So the thing is that yeah, this one works for iOS and Android. And what is really nice is that you can not only edit one video and put some effects or just cut it at the end and on the front, but you can also work with several video layers. And just the one thing that you need is a good processor of your phone. So some trouble that occurred was that you can record footage in a high resolution, but then not edit it because the phone was not strong enough. But these are things, I think, which will get better through time. And what you can also do is you can animate text or objects in this app and yeah, insert different fonts, and it's very intuitive. So this one really, yeah, is a good way to start to edit the footage which you recorded. Yeah, we also exported these ones and they also worked. So yeah, it's actually also possible to edit footage on the smartphone right after, so you don't have to go back to your computer, but are really flexible to also do it on your way if you want. And so what about displaying it on your smartphone? So what you can do, of course, is you display it in a flat screen format and simply press play, also after exporting it from the editing software. But yeah, would be also nice to have something like a Fulldome on your smartphone. Of course, this is not possible as you can't really, let's say, make it an inflatable Fulldome, but as you know, it's possible that you have your smartphone and you look around like in a virtual dome. So you have kind of a looking glass in a virtual dome. Just the one thing which not yet worked is that you go from the editing step on your phone to the 360-degree display format on your phone. Before that, you have to go back to the computer and actually edit it in After Effects to give it a different format. So what was done was that the polar coordinates effect in After Effects was applied on the Fulldome image. And then it was given the aspect ratio of 2:1. The frame rate, of course, stays the same all the time, like with 30. And then it was exported in MP4 to make it really like not so much with not so much data volume, so the phone can easily play it. And it was also then afterwards added 360-degree metadata with the software spatial media metadata injector. So the phone immediately knows, or the display software knows that it's 360-degree and shouldn't just be displayed flat, but really as a 360-degree. Then you can import it, and for example, one player which really works nice is VLC, or any other player with 360-degree option. But like this, you can also watch the content which you did on the smartphone, edit it on the smartphone, just put for a software on the computer, edit it there, then you can display it on the smartphone. So I think this is really nice that these possibilities for Fulldome are actually included, like, yeah, as a base in your smartphone, so you can film with a fisheye lens, edit and then display it. So it's totally worth, in our opinion, to really go forward with this, because the advantages are flexibility and spontaneity. You can go somewhere and just simply put out your smartphone. You can really work and change the perspectives really experimentally. I mean, you have to take care that the camera doesn't become so shaky, because otherwise, as you know, the people might get sick very soon. And covering the camera is really easy, so like really immersive shots are also possible, and it's you can even edit it afterwards, like in a let's say reduced way on your phone to save time, and it's very low budget because you just have to afford a good mobile phone. I mean, it still can be a lot, but mostly people have already a mobile phone. Disadvantages are that it's not yet so good possible to record in 4K full-dome resolution, but I'm sure the development will go into this direction. Shaky hand camera I already said, and you can't edit so many effects at once on the phone as you can, of course, on a good computer. Which step should be, there should be no step to go outside of the phone between displaying, but there could be done a research on editing with the Adobe CC apps on smartphone. We didn't try it yet, but maybe it's also possible if you edit with After Effects app on the phone to apply the polar coordinates, if your phone can manage to process this procedure. And what I think is also really interesting is to try to work with 360-degree camera plugs for smartphones. I mean, they also are kind of costly still, but would also be really interesting to work further with this. And like right now I would say we have Diego here, who was actually in the experiment, and you can ask him questions if you want to. And we also have a the fisheye lens here, so in case you want to try it also with your own smartphone, we are very welcoming you to come by and we do some experiments. So just talk to us, and if there are questions now, then,